If you're watching this video, there's a good chance you know at least something about this car here. It's the Kia Sorento, the brand's flagship 7-seat SUV in Australia. And we've talked before about how we like the way it looks, how we like the way it drives, and its practical interior. But you're watching this video because this one has a plug and it says hybrid across the back. Does that add something to an already good SUV, or does it simply add too much to the price? Before we find out, remember there'll be a full written review over on carsguide.com.au. We are going to talk about each of those elements individually, so there'll be time codes on your screen now if you want to skip ahead, or in the timeline below, or in links in the description. Also, remember, if you are watching on YouTube and you are enjoying our videos, remember to hit like, subscribe, and the bell notification icon just to stay up to date with all of our latest content. Now, first things first, we need to address the elephant in the park here, and that's that the plug-in hybrid version of the Sorento is only available in the top-spec GT line trim. While that means it comes with all the bells and whistles, it also comes with a relatively large battery pack, allowing nearly 70 kilometers of electric-only driving range. Now, while that's pretty good for something that big, it also adds over $15,000 to the price compared to the variant below it.
Standard gear at the GT line level is great though. It includes a 10.25-inch multimedia touchscreen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, as well as built-in nav. It also includes a 12.3-inch digital dashboard, 8-inch head-up display, quilted Nappa leather interior trim, full electrical adjust for the front seats with both heating and ventilation, dual zone climate control, heated rear seats, a panoramic sunroof, LED headlights, keyless entry with push start ignition, ambient interior lighting, and a 360-degree parking suite. A subtle difference for the plug-in hybrid, it only gets 19-inch alloy wheels instead of 20-inch ones, which are standard on the other GT line variants. A year into its life and the Sorento still looks just as dashing, a standout piece of design, even when faced with such tough competition in this segment like Mazda's CX-9. Its eye-catching grille is complemented nicely by those LED light fittings, and the contrasting black highlight pieces work well with any color combination. Its angular design elements give it a tough look, especially around the rear, and even from the side, this big SUV has lovely balanced proportions. The new Kia badge for this year's update only serves to add more to an already contemporary package. Inside, and this car is just as good looking. This is a really futuristic and ergonomic cabin, and everything in here looks and feels the part. Dials for important features have not been forgotten, and the angular vibe continues through the cabin via the squared-off motifs used throughout. The only thing different about the plug-in hybrid is its slightly more liberal use of piano black interior finishes.
I love this fish scale pattern that runs through the dash. I love these funky vent fittings. I love the science fiction design of it all, which is really reinforced by those two big screens. And because this is a GT line variant, it removes the big stalk shifter here with a dial, which is a nice upmarket touch.
It might look and feel good, but is it really practical? Especially with the addition of such a big battery under the floor.
It's all as practical as it looks too, with big pockets in the doors suitable for our large CarsGuide bottle, which also fits in these areas here. You've got a wireless charger here and a giant center console box as well. And you have really good adjustability from this seat, which manages to balance the sporty feeling from behind the wheel with great visibility over the front, which is not an easy feat. Now back here I have heaps of room because, well, of course I do. Have you seen the length of this car? But it's worth mentioning the great amenities you get back here as well. There's a full-size bottle holder here in the door. There's another one further down as well. Dual layered pockets, 3 USB outlets. There's dual adjustable air vents. There's rear heated seats back here as well. So it's fully loaded. Kids will love it. But I'm an adult. I'm 182 centimeters tall. Is it possible for me to fit in the third row? I bet that's what you're wondering. So let's find out. I'm going to move this seat forward until I think I've set it to something I'm comfortable with. Then we're going to hop in the back row, see if it still works. Now I'm seated behind that position that I just set the second row to. And I'm surprised to find I actually have quite a lot of knee room in here. What I have less of is headroom, but all things considered, it's pretty good given that, well, I actually fit. In fact, I'm not sure how Kia's managed it, given that they've got that huge battery pack under the floor as well. On top of that, kids are going to love it back here because there's an independently controllable fan speed, dual USB ports, a little tray for tidbits, and a full-size bottle holder as well.
Finally, boot space is lower than on non-electrified variants, but not by much, with less than 30 litres, or essentially an unnoticeable amount, lost in each configuration. Each space is competitive for this segment regardless, although it will be tricky to fit anything with all the seats up, as that space is tall but thin and narrow.
Now, the plug-in hybrid is the only way you can get petrol and all-wheel drive in the Sorento range, because remember, the V6 is front-wheel drive only. And the way it achieves that is quite unique. It pairs this 1.6-litre four-cylinder turbocharged engine with an electric motor in the transmission. The transmission loses 2 gears as a result compared to the other variants, but you don't notice so much anyway because, well, you've got the electrification to make it up on the fuel front.
Claimed fuel consumption for this plug-in hybrid variant is absurdly low. At just 1.6 litres to 100 kilometres, it's far beyond what even Toyota can manage with its popular self-charging hybrid systems. With a plug-in hybrid though, it really does depend on how you use it. Run the battery down and you can expect your fuel usage to go through the roof. Thankfully, the Sorento has some rather brilliant drive modes to help keep fuel consumption low, even when you might not be able to charge it up.
On the topic of charging, the Sorento hybrid has what they call a Type 2 charging socket. Now, the good thing about that is it's the most popular kind in Australia, so you shouldn't have trouble finding a place to charge it up. The only issue with this one specifically is that it's quite slow. It charges at a rate of 3.3 kilowatts. And that means the best way to charge this is in your garage overnight rather than convenience charging at, say, the shops, for example. Even if you find a charger that will do 7.2 kilowatts or above, it's not going to charge any faster than it would in your garage. So that's a bit of a shame to see. So one thing you should know straight away is all plug-in hybrids are really quite different in the way they drive. And the greatest thing about our Sorento here is it does something that not many do right, and that is that it has a really convincing hybrid mode. Now, I've got to explain what I mean by that. Some plug-in hybrids are really good at being an electric vehicle. Some plug-in hybrids have a really great sporty mode where you can turn off the electrical features altogether and sort of drive it as a more conventional car. And our Sorento here doesn't really have that, but what it does have is a proper hybrid mode. And I wish all plug-in hybrids had this. What it does is it allows you to get the most out of the electric motor in your first part of your acceleration, and then it'll only use the engine where it really has to. And that kind of gives you the best of both worlds. And it drives more like a traditional Toyota hybrid that people are more familiar with in the market. And this hybrid mode also does a great job of preserving your battery life. And that's important because, as I mentioned earlier, your charging time is quite slow, so it's hard to convenience charge this car. But with such a great hybrid mode that lets you maintain your battery life for quite a long period of time while keeping your fuel consumption down, it means you can go outside of your comfort zone with this vehicle. When you go on a holiday, for example, and you might not have your usual garage spot to charge this plug-in up, it's not going to matter as much because you can rely on that hybrid mode to maintain your battery and keep your fuel consumption down, even over a length of time as, say, a week. And that's great too because it removes that nervousness of driving a plug-in hybrid as an electric vehicle and getting that range anxiety before you know your fuel consumption is going to spike when the engine comes in. You can just switch back to that hybrid electric mode when your battery life starts to get a little low and keep your fuel consumption down. Now, while it does have a combined power output that's almost on par with the 3.5 litre V6 and much more trim fuel consumption, it doesn't quite have the same performance. It is weighed down a bit by that all-wheel drive, whereas the 3.5 litre V6 is front drive. So it doesn't quite feel as athletic as that option, but still, it's got plenty of power to be going on with. It feels more refined than the diesel or the V6 put together, and it does give you the confidence of that all-wheel drive if you're venturing off the tarmac or even for a little bit of cornering. On the topic of cornering, there's a lot about the Sorento that is just great regardless of variant. We've talked about this before, but I really like the steering in this car. I really like the visibility in this car. I really like the balance over both axles when it comes to the ride and suspension tune. And that also helps to keep the cabin quiet as well. All those factors combine to really make the Sorento feel a fraction of its size when you're behind the wheel. It really feels light and engaging to drive, almost like it's some sort of huge hatchback. And that's really good to see. Not every 7-seat SUV can pull off such a feat. Now, despite that great hybrid mode, there is one area where the Sorento does lack as a plug-in hybrid, and that's the fact that it's missing customizable regenerative braking. There is only one mode, and when you hop on the pedal, you can control how much the car regens, sort of like you can in a Toyota hybrid. But it would be nice to see the regen kick in automatically. I really think you could get better electrical efficiency that way around.
As a top-spec GT line, the plug-in hybrid gets the full range of active safety features, including auto emergency braking with pedestrian, cyclist and junction detection, reverse auto braking, blind spot monitoring with rear cross traffic alert and even blind spot cameras in the digital dash, lane keep assist with lane departure warning, adaptive cruise control, driver attention alert, intelligent speed limit assist and safe exit assist. That's up there with the best in the segment. To boot, the Sorento gets a suite of 7 airbags, including a new center front airbag. It's worth noting that the curtain airbags don't totally cover that third row, although both the second and third row do get child seat mounting points. The Sorento has a maximum 5-star ANCAP safety rating to the 2020 standard, which includes the plug-in hybrid variant. The Sorento is covered by Kia's pioneering 7-year and unlimited kilometre warranty, which is still amongst the best across the market, but it does have newcomers from China starting to close in. Regardless, the plug-in hybrid is also covered by a cap price servicing schedule for the life of the warranty, which does carry a premium over the variants below it. It will need to visit a service centre once a year or every 10,000 kilometres.
There's so much to like about this plug-in hybrid. Everything new here adds to an already great 7-seat SUV package. But with some drawbacks when it comes to charging, you will need a really specific kind of lifestyle to live with this car to get the most out of it. Namely, you'll need somewhere to charge it up at home. For those who do fit that criteria and who are willing to take a chance on the extra cost of this SUV, they'll be rewarded with something that feels semi-premium on the inside and is also lovely to drive with a great hybrid mode. Do you fit that criteria? Are you willing to take a chance on the Sorento? Tell us what you think in the comments below.